What is up, DTube? Steam blockchain. So today I want to talk about a topic that I feel is somewhat important to talk about, and that's going to be about utility companies starting to get involved in politics. So I see that Google is taking a bigger role at putting out their biased propaganda to and Google is a utility company. Okay, it's like we don't have any choice. Like we have to kind of use Google in many ways. So when we don't have that much choice, and the utility company starts to go and spread their propaganda, it is as if your electric company or your water bill company, if they would start to like poison your water, which maybe they already do, or like electricity, that they put out like dangerous electricity or something. It's like utility companies should not have a political agenda. But we are living in a world where everything is a lot of stuff is getting political, and it's like if people do not have any say their own views and opinions about things, maybe they lose their voice eventually. Maybe they don't even have an option eventually to use their voice because they never used it when they had the opportunity to do it. And this is what can happen if people do not try to defend rights and try to uphold rights. Then they may lose a lot. Like 2030 can be horrible if people do not say what they think, and so it's like a lot of people have opinion. A lot of people see stuff that they think is wrong, but they don't say it out loud. And if people are quiet about a lot of stuff, they can eventually live in a world where they do not even have the chance at have a voice. So I want to talk a little bit about Google here, because it seems as they have a political agenda at basically trying to make, like, first of all, I want to say this about gender. So usually I don't want to bring up gender because first of all, the thing about gender is I don't like when people try to paint stuff in black and white, or when they're making gender a thing and only focusing on 50% of the population and basically ignoring the rest. So first of all, about gender should only matter if you procreate. It's like, because you're talking about body parts. Men and women have the same capability of a brain. It's like it's only gender should only be talked about if and only has a focus and only matters when you're trying to like procreate, because then gender matters. But in all other areas of life, it's very weird if you start to identify with body parts, because that's basically what's starting to happen. Like people are identifying with body parts, and what happens then is that they're only focusing on one side and go all in on one side, and they get this skewed view of the world. So as I said, I mean, gender, like men and women have the same capability of brain and have the same capability of competence. But if you're focusing on body parts, what's going to happen then is you're just going to focusing on one side. And I see this on both sides. I've been to Poland and I have seen their library of books, and there it is all about men are amazing, men are doing this amazing stuff. There it is like the total opposite of how it is outside of Poland. Outside of Poland, in the Western world, it is like the opposite. Outside it's like women are amazing, they're doing all these amazing stuff. And it's like both sides, both the Polish side of like men are amazing, they're doing all these amazing stuff, and the outside perspective of like women are amazing, they're doing all these amazing stuff. Both of them are identifying with body parts. They're basically not seeing the human being. um and what happens then when people identify with body parts is both of these extremes are not seeing reality, okay? They are not seeing the human being. They're just seeing the body parts of a human being. And then they get this skewed view where they try to pursue just one side of the story, or like one gender. But so it's like when I open up my Play Store here, it says like apps for empowered women. It says movies for a movement, bold women on screen, women authors we love. And it's just like, it's all about one gender. Google will never do this to men. They will never put the other side, the other gender, on the front page like this. So basically, they're like they're like cutting out 50% of the population, and this eventually, what I'm seeing in the world is I'm seeing more women depressed, and I think there were some stats like women around age 40, like 40% of them are on prescription medication. And then you have to start to look at, wait a sec, we're kind of creating a sick society here, and there's something fundamentally wrong somewhere. And I'm fairly sure it is with this view, how humans are identifying with body parts, and then they're only focusing on one gender. Like, why are you only focusing on one gender? Does only 50% of the world population matter? Doesn't 100% of the world population matter? And it also seems like Google, the utility company, it seems like they have an agenda about what you're doing in your bedroom. And it's like, it's no person's business what anyone is doing in their bedroom. But when I'm looking at these apps where Google only focusing on one gender, it seems like they are promoting that they like want the whole world to become lesbians, and it's just straight out propaganda from a utility company that wants to basically shape society in whatever way they want to shape it. And this, I think, this can become very, very dangerous eventually, because it's going to create a world where people basically do self-censorship. So they do not say what they think, they self-censor themselves, and eventually that can lead to a 1984 Brave New World where nobody is really saying what they actually think. And I think eventually, if people do like move on and do like self-censorship and never say what they actually think, that can really cause, a hell-like situation eventually in the society Canada would create. So as I said, I mean, it seems like here, I may be wrong, but it seems like they are using a lot of propaganda to really try to push hard to try to shape society in a way where they kind of want to isolate the genders from each other. It seems like they're using divide and conquer tactics, and I think this is really evil. This for me looks super evil. And the way I'm looking at this is it's only going to escalate. Like, it's only going to get worse if people do not try to say their thoughts, try to use new technology, DTube, Steam blockchain, and like try to really get truth out there and like pursue truth. uh I've really seen dark sides. Like I've seen dark side over how society can become if people do not stand up for and like not self-censorship. And it can really become like, we've seen how much communism has killed in the past. uh if people do self-censorship, kind of like where it's going, where it seems like things can go again, is some kind of communist reality. And that is going to be horrible if that is the case. Like, like, go look at history and see how much it has killed. And that's basically going to be so horrible in many ways if that turns out to be the world that people eventually live in eventually. uh so this is reality. Look at Steam blockchain, look at the hostile takeover, look at the battle there, where you have a decentralized network and like each witness, Steam witness, have like 10,000 votes, and one entity wants to basically control the whole network. This is like reality. Like, this is like full on digital war over a person's future and like upcoming generations' future. Like, what kind of world do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a world where people don't tell you truth, but everyone is just self-censorship? Uh, do you want to see humanity go in that direction? So imagine if you open up Google Play today and it was like the opposite, where it was like apps for empowered men, movies for movement, and like bold men, bold men on screen. No, it would be just as horrible. Like, both sides of the story, when they're just focusing on one gender, it's horrible, because it's like, what kind of world are you sort of creating here, where you're only seeing one side? Do you re- do you really want to live in that kind of world? And it doesn't seem to be good for humans. Like, it seems like humans are becoming more depressed, and using more medication, because they're like seeing kind of like what kind of reality that can kind of create. It's weird. Like, human societies should move towards more inclusive ways where gender shouldn't really matter. Like, why does a person's body parts matter to you? It only matters if you are with someone and if you're procreating with that person. But other than that, like in regular day-to-day life, it doesn't really matter, because both genders have, a brain, and they have like common sense and so on. So it's like divide and conquer strategy is very, very like scary to kind of see how it can kind of play out. And I think it's really important to try to sort of pursue truth and realize that no human is like perfect, but it's like it's really horrible when all these utility companies have like an agenda and like try to really, really control what humans see, what humans do. And yeah, it is like right now, one of these utility companies can just close down your ability to speak or to reach your friends. It's really, really horrible. Um, I don't want to live in that kind of world. I don't want to live in a world where people do like massive self-censorship. So it's up to humans, it's up to humanity to really show what kind of reality they kind of want to build towards the future. Uh, I have been to cities, for example, I can say Milan in Italy. For me, it felt like a communist dystopia. It was really, really frightening to kind of see that. And you saw like everyone is like super selfish. Um, it's like nobody seems to care about anyone else. it's really scary, you know. And I think that if people do not really care about the future of this world, the whole world may turn into some communist dystopia. So, so yeah, I mean that's like the worst case scenario, right? We have interesting stuff happening with technology. We have new amazing technology coming uh, that can actually make it so eventually maybe people do not do not have to have a work, do not have to have a job because artificial intelligence can do a lot of stuff. But still, it is it is a little bit of a coin flip, like how is this going to play out? And yeah, it is it's real. Like this is reality. Like it's kind of scary in many ways. Um, yeah.